Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Department of Languages, English Division, JAIN deemed to be University, Bangalore, I, Dr. Swati Kumari, warmly welcome you to day 3 of 8-day online faculty development program on digital humanities, bridging traditions and technologies in liberal arts. Before we commence today's session, please allow me to emphasize a few essential guidelines for the duration of this FDP. Please keep your audio and video off to maintain clarity throughout the session. We request your presence for the entire duration of the session. You may post your questions, comments, and insights in the chat box. A feedback form will be shared in the chat box at the end of the session. It must be filled out and submitted in time. The form will be active for only 30 minutes after the session ends. Please note that certificates will not be issued if the feedback form is not filled for each session. Now it is my honor to introduce our esteemed speaker for the day, Dr. Shanmugapriya T, who will be enlightening us on the topic Introduction to Text Mining. Dr. Shanmugapriya T is an assistant professor of digital humanities and digital literature in the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences at IIT Dhanbad. She was a postdoctoral scholar at the University of Toronto, Scarborough, UTSC from 2022 to 24, and an AHRC postdoctoral research associate at Lancaster University, UK from 2020 to 2021. During her postdoctoral work at Lancaster and UTSC, she applied digital humanities techniques to study environmental degradation, particularly water systems in Coimbatore, South India, from British colonial times to the present. She created an interactive map using leaflet and ArcGIS to track the transformation of water tanks in British India's Coimbatore region and developed Lost Water Remainscape, a digital poetry that blends 3D environments, maps, and oral testimonies. She curated her students' digital-born creative works on her website. Ma'am's research and teaching interests lie at the intersection of digital humanities, digital environmental studies, and digital literature, focusing on South Asia, colonial and post-colonial studies, text mining, mapping, and digital-born creative works. Ma'am has earned her PhD in Indian English Literature and Digital Humanities at the Indian Institute of Technology, Indore, India. Moreover, Ma'am is an interim executive committee member of Dharti, as well as research fellow and member of Electronic Literature Organization. Notably, Ma'am is one of the peer review editors of the journal Digital Humanities Quarterly. Also, Ma'am has curated the first Indian Electronic Literature Anthology, Volume 1, along with Nirmala Menon, Justy Joseph, and Deborah Sutton. Ma'am, we take the privilege of welcoming you as a resource person for our FDP today. A gentle reminder to our participants, we will take up your questions at the end of the session. Please post them in the chat box. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Swati, for the introduction. And thank you so much to Jayashree and Aswati for inviting me to be part of your FDP. Just something like absolutely wonderful. As digital humanities is growing in India, this is something very important academic event for the faculty to know more about what exactly digital humanities is. So part of that, I'm going to introduce you to text mining, which is also part of one of the methods of digital humanities. Today's lecture is I'm going to try to cover 3 areas. One is the basic introduction to text mining, and the second one, methods and tools. And third, let's look at one particular text mining and topic modeling, which is, let's look at the advantages and challenges, a few examples, the use case of topic modeling as well. I hope I'm audible to everyone.
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, great. Thank you for confirming it. Okay, I have shared one link in the chat box. So you can click that link. Now, usually I start my text mining class in it can be either a classroom or some workshop. I usually start with this Blackout poetry tool, which is something like erasing words and creating a poetry, which is part of a Dada movement. If you're a literary scholar, definitely you might know something about this poetry already. Usually those days they used newspapers, clippings, and then maybe just basic text materials. Either they cut out all the words and select a few words they are interested and try to create a poetry, just extracting words. So usually just to introduce text mining in the classroom settings or in the workshop, I usually start with this kind of a fun activity so that the students would involve to know more, to know about text mining in better way. So we also try to do that. Let's take a few minutes. Please follow the link which I have given in the chat box and just click the link. It will take you to this wonderful work. Blackout poetry tool where you could see maybe different novel. For me, it's Frankenstein. So there are few features. So earlier point they used newspapers or other text materials, but it is also now being transformed into digital space. Now we have much more features to create poetry in the digital platform. So for example, the first one, I hope you are also doing with me, and let me know if you want some questions or some doubts from my side. And if you want to ask any questions and doubts from me. So what I'm going to do, the first one, there are a few features you could see. One is I can select poetry by myself. The second one, bot selects, which means we don't have any role in that. Third one, I select, also bot also selects. It's kind of a combination between human and machine. And then third one, I select, but bot suggests. And the last one, creating visualization. That's it. Very basic, simple features to create a poetry. So let's do this. Let's create a poetry out of Frankenstein novel. The first page. So I'm going to randomly select words, or you can also tell me which words we can select and create a poetry together. Anyone? I know like Dr. Swati gave the instruction to like say anything, comments in the last or at the end of the session. If they're okay with that, you can unmute yourself and let's do it together.
And they
So
can
this,
unmute also. Participants, if you're interested to ask questions, you can unmute yourselves. We
thank you
have
so much,
enabled that.
Swati. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I'm going to select the word sleep. And then maybe I need to remember sleep. So I'm going to select remember. And then I'm going to select remind quietly. And then anyone wants to suggest any other word we can go with?
Nothing.
Sorry?
Nothing. The word nothing is
Nothing.
there.
Okay. Could you direct me where it is exactly? Okay, here I found it. Yes. Thank you. So sleep, remembered quietly, nothing.
Contemplation.
Contemplation. Could you direct me which sentence?
Yeah, just above the line, line about nothing. The line about nothing, last
Oh,
word.
okay.
Yeah.
Right. Great.
Blind.
Let's blind. Okay, great. Where is it?
Above nothing.
Okay, so we are going back and forth. Okay, that's great. I want to select happy, right? Okay, now let's be done creating a poetry. Let's see. Done. So now you could see, okay, now you could see we created a poetry, all of us together. So sleep, remembered quietly, and then blind, nothing, contemplation, and happy, right? So now by selecting a few words consciously with our own interest, now we created a poetry. So let's move to the second one, where the part automatically selects words and create a poetry on its own. It doesn't need any, hand from us. So now it selected already words. Let's see, we have to click the done part. Okay, so let's look at what it created. On the barbarous day of the young cause, which is also kind of interesting. Let's go to the next feature. So here I select, the bot also selects. It's a combination of machine and human work. So let's see. It suggests before, but I can overlook that suggestion. I can select some other word as well, or I can go with, if I'm satisfied its selection, so I can go with the word it selected. So maybe I can go with it. Okay. Oh, sorry. Here, oh, sorry. It's not suggesting. I misunderstood. It selects. So we don't have any role to involve in its selection. So I'm going to select. It keeps selecting along with me. Okay. Remind motives as doors, anger, eng. Okay. Let's click done. What? Okay. Now we have created a poetry with machine, with the part. So let's move to the third feature. Let me know if I'm going so fast. I can go slow as well. So the next feature here it suggests. For example, I'm going to select sleep again. It gives a few suggestions for me, but it's mostly prepositions. Sorry. Okay, so it actually gives me a few suggestions, but I'm going to select myself, and then I accept its suggestion. Woman, man. Okay, I'm now kind of agreeing with its suggestions. So let's select done here. Okay, now we created poetry now with the help of a pot, right? So now let's go to the last one. So here we don't have any role. It just creates a visualization. Like it's a wave of, only bot draws a wave. It's created a wave kind of visualization. Let's click done. Okay. So now we have visualization of the words created by a machine. Okay. So why I always start with this kind of fun activity? It's metaphorically explains what exactly text mining is. Text mining is all about extracting meaningful words. It's kind of explaining exactly, like for example, it also extracting words also, it can be automatically done or semi-automatically done with the help of machine. So there are many kinds, whether there are many ways of extracting words from the text. So this tool allows us to interact with the students, telling them about how you can play with some software or algorithms to extract meaningful patterns from the text. So this is how I usually start my text mining class. Now let's go back to the lecture. Okay. I hope you also had fun. Let's put them somewhere else. Sorry. Okay. So what is text mining? So the mining, the literal meaning, definition of the word mining refers to extracting valuable metallic ores. As said by Joe Gildy, who's one of the historian and who also works in text mining. She also recently published a wonderful book called The Dangers of Text Mining. Art of Text Mining, something like, sorry, I'm confusing with the title, but it kind of starts with Dangers of Text Mining, something Art of Text Mining. So if you're really interested in knowing something about text mining, I would recommend that book as well. So text mining is nothing but it's counting words or phrases from a single or large scale of machine readable text. So I would like to here note the point of machine readable text using natural language processing, NLP. So NLP is something, it's a technique used to study human language, right? Like how we talk, like what kind, like we have many languages. So we need computers. We need to give some rules and regulations to computers to understand our language. That is called natural language processing. So we use natural language processing in our text to find out certain pattern of meaning, right? A certain pattern of meaningful extraction of the words. So what are the other things needed? Like digitization, definitely, because you cannot read the text in your hand, the material, physical text material, you cannot read by using computers. So you need to digitize them, or maybe it can be born on the digital platform, and then you need NLP process. So what are the scope for text mining? There are two kinds of scope for text mining. In academia itself, within the digital humanities, so the one can become like academic researcher, like for example, doing PhD or something in the text mining area. At the same time, there is one more area growing. It's called research software engineer within the academia itself. So there are positions currently not in India, but in the Western. The positions called research software engineering, which is a kind of, developing tools and software, working with the students, working with the scholars, working with faculty, working in a project. So this is something like definitely one can try. Someone is like want to stick to research at the same time and also want to explore technology further for the humanities materials. So what are the other scope in non-academia? So non-academia also text mining provides a few scopes, such as like, for example, again, software development area you can work, and data science, digital marketing, healthcare, and government, other public policy related areas, and all you can definitely bring this expertise of text mining to work. This here you might have a question why data science is very important as part of digital humanities, because there are courses, even like programs in data science. So what one exactly can be something different, doing text mining, learning text mining as part of digital humanities, and data mining something part of data science. So there are many exceptional cases, differences between them. So data science would not teach the humanities part. That they don't, maybe they might touch upon some ethical part, that they don't provide the exact critical thinking of humanities value. So text mining in digital humanities provides such kind of critical thinkings, ethicals, very deep ethics of like, in terms of both digital, non-digital, copyrighted, non-copyrighted, sensible issues. So the humanities actually provide the foundation of any part of, mining work. So that is something important when someone does text mining for, let's say, healthcare or government policy. They should bring humanities value as well. So what students can define why text mining can be part of digital humanities in this way. Let's move to the next slide. So I'm going to give you a quick two examples before moving into other things here. So the two examples, one is for academic research, one is for non-academic research. The first one, let them speak project from Yale University. This is my interdisciplinary project. Scholars from different fields worked together for this project. But only one part I'm going to show here, which is a tree map created based on the testimonies by the Holocaust survivors, right? The other one is the Shaporo makeup reviews. So using like advanced algorithm, what kind of similarity between different brands and what kind of, different places, how people commented about their makeups using makeup, using products from the different brands. So let's look at the first one. Okay, so when you click the link, I have given directly to the visualization part. So here you could see all words listed kind of, combined together through a tree kind of visualization. So if I click here, it takes me to the phrases of all the fear and sentences of all the fear. For example, fear for father is connected with fear for my father. This was something I just couldn't forget. Not fearing death, because when you are in such condition that you are really don't care no more, people are not afraid of to die. So it actually provides the testimony in a different way, just selecting the action words. Like, let's go back to the methodology section. There, let's look at how exactly they created this kind of, output. So for that, let's click fragments. Oh, sorry, methodology, and then a trail of fragments. Here they provided pipeline, how exactly they processed to get this kind of outcome. Here they call this pipeline, step-by-step process by using computational method. I'll try to increase it, the size. Okay, I think I cannot do it. Okay, I hope it's visible to you. Okay, now I can do it. So the first process they did linguistic pre-processing. The second one, retrieval of recurrent verbs. Look at, they extracted only verbs. So which means definitely linguistics, parts of speech is something very important for this computational method. And then they went for recurrent verbs in terms of expressing about physical and mental experience. And then they created continuously some algorithm methods. Finally, they did topic modeling of that extracted data. And then they created visualization. Don't worry about that if you cannot follow this, understand. I'm just trying to tell you like what kind of process usually involved. It is also like step-by-step process how we usually do in our qualitative research, like selecting text. No, we will be doing the review of literature and selecting the text and particularly focusing on some parts of the text, and then we decided some of the words as an outcome of our project, right? So likewise in the text mining also, this is the kind of a pipeline process for computational method. So first they selected recurrent verbs and recurrent verbs related to physical and mental experience and the synonyms. And then they looked for all these kind of words in all the documents, then they applied topic model. So then they end up creating this visualization. This one. So all the verbs part, and then verbs related phrases, phrases related sentences, and you can also even go to exactly where this sentence occurred in the document, in the testimony. This is something very interesting project. One could think of not only just literature, but also in other disciplines. Okay, now let's go back to the other one. This is kind of using advanced algorithm called the BERT transformer, which is also similar to ChatGPT, which understand the context in order to understand the context and extracted the meaningful pattern from the text. So they don't have much. It's because of the they created in the Google Colab, so it does not have much creative visualizations, but I can show you here. The word sensitive. So sensitive, what kind of context for the sensitive appeared? So for example, when I move my cursor towards that bullet points, I could see word sensitive and its context. The couple of years, my skin has gotten quite sensitive and with that quite dehydrated. So the brand name and type it has given. So some percentage wise they have created. So which means which brand is more suitable for sensitive skin, or which brand is like received less comments, less reviews. Okay, these two types of exactly opposite examples, which I wanted to show you, which means text mining can be done in any sort of humanities and social science disciplines. Okay, so then let's move back to qualitative study. Maybe you might get this kind of question, like what is the difference between normal, traditional way of doing research, at the same time using text mining in a way kind of a quantitative study. So in qualitative study, I'm sure like a lot of scholars are here, you would agree with me that in qualitative study also, which also requires some sort of selection process. And then we look for words and patterns and like going back and forth. You could see this kind of this image, I got it from online. So I'm sure a lot of us do this kind of, qualitative study. we try to connect the meaning of the words within one page or like different pages. We go back and try to connect the words and try to come out some meaning out of it, right? So Natalie has provided list of what kind of qualitative study usually people do, and then how we can compare that with quantitative study. So in quantitative study, which doesn't mean that like we only rely on the tool. So we also process a lot of background information at the same time. In quantitative study, we look for, again, the same approach. We look for words, but only the method is different. There, with the help of machine, we look for words. Here, we manually look for words. And that can provide some, meanings for our research question. Usually text mining as impression that is started in linguistic area much earlier, even before digital humanities was introduced, mainly to identify author attribution, gender identification in the collection of text by using linguistic stylistic methods. But Ted Underwood is one of the famous scholars in text mining area in the Western country. And he says that text mining is not just booming because of, just not only part of digital humanities, it is originated. It was there earlier. For example, he provides Raymond Williams and Janice Radbeck, how they combined literary studies and social science, counting words or doing some field visits, which are not earlier part of not so famously done in humanities. So in this article, if you are interested, you can definitely look for a genealogy of distant reading. He provides examples and he argues that it's just text mining, which is distant reading is one of the methods of text mining. I'm sure like if you might have come across this method, distant reading. So he argues this is something not so new to digital humanities. It was existing even before digital humanities was born. But why it becomes a thing? I agree with that Underwood's argument, but it was not so famous in humanities. I agree with his claim. It could be done by some famous scholars. It could be done in the Western country, couple of people, but not most of them are involved in doing something distant reading or text mining or quantitative study in the humanities. We mostly select text and sit just by ourselves in a corner of library or under the junior classroom, wherever we find comfortable. So we were doing our research by reading the books, right? Why it becomes suddenly a thing and becomes an important method of digital humanities is because definitely the availability, the text material, availability of the text materials online in the digital format, and the advanced and progress of natural language processing. As you know that AI is growing every other day. You can use AI now to do text mining for your research, to answer your research question. And there are much opportunities also coming up, like in academia and non-academia, as I explained in the first slide itself. So that could be also one of the reasons why text mining becomes a thing and it's a part of digital humanities. Okay, so text mining is something like what kind of questions we can ask by using text mining. So questions like you can try to answer to traditional questions. At the same time, you can ask new research questions by using text mining method. So one of my research, in my doctoral research works, I used a text mining method to try to answer to the question of like how technological devices impacted in the narrative of post-independent Indian English novels. So this question like, looks for the broader period from 1947 to 2017. That's my research period. So I cannot definitely sit and read many novels and, come up with the impact of technological devices. What I mean impact of technological devices here, like radio, telephone, television. For example, in Midnight Children, the role of radio. And in the Vendrop Suites by R.K. Narayan, the prototype computer. Or in Amitav Ghosh novel, the Calcutta Chromosome, the AI. So what kind of roles of these devices in the narrative? So which I wanted to study. So actually, I did close reading of few novels, the novels I mentioned just now, but at the same time, that's not sufficient to my research question because my research question is quite broad. So I cannot climb by reading a few novels and answering to this broad research area, right? So that's why I tried to do some quantitative study, which is, of course, it has its own challenges and limitations, but I tried my best to do for 47 novels I selected, and then I applied text mining. So one of my key findings is gender disparity. How technologies created a kind of a new uh, like new prejudice. For example, television, like you as you understand, like there are its main target audience in our home country is homemakers, mostly women, right? So then when it comes to computer, I couldn't even find a single female character name appeared for computer. So when it comes to television, I could see many female characters, but when it comes to computer, I couldn't see single female character. And then the terms are like mostly the social space terms are associated with the male characters, and domestic space related words associated with female characters. So that is one of my key findings. So you can ask new research questions in this way. Let's move on. So what exactly? I'm not quite sure the participants, the research area here, like disciplines. I believe it could be mostly from literature or history or within the humanities. So usually this is something I prepared sometimes for mainly literary studies. So by using text mining, you can study plot and themes, character analysis, events, place something you can study in history as well, and periods you can study in history as well, objects. So you can do whatever you want to extract information related to any particular phenomena. You can use text mining. So what are the advantages of text mining? So the advantages are like efficient information extraction, and you can study a huge volume of text, a corpus of text. You can study, and then you can find a pattern, trend of knowledge across certain period. And it is also interdisciplinary, and it can be also multidisciplinary. And the advantages include both academia and non-academia areas. You can study past and real-time data analysis as well. But doesn't mean that it does not have any disadvantages. It has many disadvantages. So when we study text, when we use text mining, I said in the beginning, we count words. So counting words is not always good, right? Let's look at what are the challenges in counting words. So first one is ambiguity. So now, language is something like itself very complex, right? In our regardless of whichever language, it could be English or it could be our Indian languages. For example, the word bank, it has different meanings, right? Homographs. For example, we are sitting on the bank of the river, and I bank with HSBC, also a bank of clouds. But how computer, the algorithms can understand the difference between these kind of meanings? It will look at bank as just only bank, right? So now, like earlier, this was a really huge challenge, but now advanced algorithms like ChatGPT, transformer algorithms, other algorithms such as BERT, and they are now trying to understand the context by looking at the words appearing before left and right of the particular word, and decide whether the bank means river of the bank or bank means bank that institution. Okay, but this is like advanced algorithm is something everyone cannot definitely afford to learn or have time to learn as a faculty or PhD scholar. That will come up with much more practice. You have to dedicate certain time in your everyday life to learn these kind of transformers, but it is what to learn. But do we have time as a faculty? We have to deal with 100 other things. So if it becomes these algorithms need Python programming knowledge, certain extent some programming knowledge, but this is also one of the key areas I'm trying to work now. So what if we don't have programming language skill set? How we can use ChatGPT also to do these kind of text minings in very simple way. So that could be my next step. I will be presenting this soon at the T conference, also on other conferences and other talks. Okay, go back to disadvantages again. Okay, what about other challenges like bias, negligence? Let's say there are text mining that uh, you can use to study any sorts of context. But all the algorithms of text mining mostly developed in the Western countries, right? For example, let's take sentiment analysis. That is something studying the sentiments of certain, words, like the positive words, negative words, neutral words. But although we all speak in English, there are different types of English in English itself, right? Indian English, American English, British English. Our way of expressing using words definitely differs from maybe other language, English language from different country. So let's say sentiment analysis algorithm is developed by, let's say, by American. So if we use that particular algorithm, because if it is developed by Western country scholar, his way of thinking is definitely different than us. So that would reflect in the algorithm. That's actually the algorithm biases we are facing it every other day. So if I use that kind, let's say, let's take a real example. For example, if I download data set from Twitter or any other social media, written by, collected by for Indians, right? Their English is definitely different. But if I use the algorithm developed by a white man, or mostly white man, that is something I'm bringing bias to my data set, right? That the result cannot be really authentic. I mean, the result can be questioned whether it is authentic or not. So these are the challenges. And as I said, counting is not always good. I also show one more example of this, why counting is not so good. Let's look at this article. So this is written by Sayan Bhattacharya, based his own research and classroom exercises. You might hear this Haiti digital library, which is one of the largest digital library in the world. So in this library platform, you can also do a quick text mining kind of thing. So this web publication on their platform called Bookworm. So by using that bookworm, you can look for words where it exactly appeared, how many times this word appeared. For example, Google and Gram also you can use it. But his argument, whether when he was trying to use that application, he got to know that some of the words, Indian language words, but written in English, let's say some Bangla words, or like even words from other South Asian languages, but transliterated in English. But they, in certain English books, but they might not frequently appear in the textbooks. They might appear here and there. But this bookworm application works based on the in-text. What is in-text? In-text something like only, let's say one particular word hits 100 times. So in-text would be set it up, okay, if it hits 100 times, then only it will pop up in the in-text for the viewer. Otherwise, the viewer cannot see it. So the reason why that limitation in the application, that's because it's millions of words are stored in the database. So it cannot, if it appear one time in the text, it won't provide. That's because that would affect the optimization of the system. Every system has certain limitations. So the system cannot process if just going through all the million of the words, find out one time appeared word. So that's why they set limit only the word appeared, for example, 100 times, then it can be viewed on the browser. So certain limitation bring back the bias that, for example, our non-English words cannot be always used in this kind of platform. So this is also one of the challenges. So that's why the counting is always not good. In one of my recent articles, also I argued using big data algorithms, how biases, that bring out because of the kind of, index-based algorithms. Okay, then lack of temporal analysis, semantic spelling changes. That is also one of the challenges. Okay, I think this exactly takes to the bookworm tool. It will take more time, so I want to skip that. Algorithms definitely cannot understand certain semantic of the text. So for example, in sentiment analysis, if you go with word by word, positive, negative, and neutral, I am not happy, the sentence I am not happy, it will definitely, there are, sorry, I'll explain it, this one complex very properly. So sentiment analysis can be uh, up, applied to select only important words, and then it will look for sentiments of that particular important words. Let's say I am not happy, here it will overlook I am not, because these are called stop words. To look for only happy. But I am not happy doesn't mean that it's not a positive sentence. It's a negative sentence. It will always look for happy. Okay, happy, positive. It will overlook not, because not is something in the keyword list. So this I can explain. If you have any questions about it, I will explain at the end. But this is also one of the challenges. And then privacy and ethical considerations. Some of the texts are available online. Doesn't mean that we have, we have the rights to do text mining at some time, because the copyright might be copyrighted. It might be some privacy concern, ethical concern. We need to get the permission. So it is also one of the challenges. So now let's go to the methods and tools. I hope you might have some idea about text mining, the advantages and disadvantages now. Let's look at some of the methods and one of the types of the text mining. There are many text mining methods are coming up every other day now, but there are like traditional methods such as like distant reading, macro analysis, reading machines. These are the earlier digital humanities text mining methods as appeared as part of digital humanities. So distant reading by Franco Moraji, macro analysis by Matthew Jokers, reading machines by Stephen Ramsey. So distant reading is something like it's used to read the great unread mass. Let's say canonical and non-canonical authors. So usually canonical authors texts are always very famous. They get read by people, and people did so much research on canonical novels. But what about the non-canonical novels? So that's where like distant reading actually started. But many scholars using distant reading, it also received at the same time many criticisms. And macro analysis also similar to that. It is also applies, talks about quantitative study. And at the same time, algorithm criticism also. It's about deformation of the text analysis by using computational algorithm. So definitely, we have to provide some basic understanding of these methods to the students before maybe they can explore a lot later, but the foundation can be created by providing this kind of information about the methods. In my doctoral research, I also proposed one method. It's called the quantitative stepwise analysis method. It is inspired by the existing methods of Morathi, Jokers, Catherine Board, and Wyvin A. It is used to study literary text very systematic way. It can also apply to paragraph, sentence, even words, even based studies, futures and places and all. So the 4 stages of this method are again borrowed from Wyvin Aid's critical stepwise formalization. So Aid used this critical stepwise formalization method to convert text into medium. So I inspired very much because of this method. I also came up with 4 proper stages to do text mining for my work. So the first stage, aggregating files, selecting text. The second stage, primary model, where actually I have to look for exactly what kind of data in my corpus I have to study. And then cleaning the data. And then third, I can apply 1 or more than tools to whatever the data I extracted. And finally, creating visualization. Because without visualization, it's very difficult to interpret sometimes the outcome. Okay, now let's imagine we are doing text mining. What are the things we have to take care of it? So the first one is setting it up. Let's look at data. So what kind of data? So far I have been saying text, something like without giving any, context. So text can be just a literary text, historical text, any kind of, linguistic text, any kind of text, right? But at the same time, speech, which also you can convert into text, web pages, social media content, and comments, whatever you can convert them into text form. That can be studied. That also called as data. So I'm I'm sure like in the previous digital humanities lectures, you might hear this word data. It keeps coming up in digital humanities everywhere. So let's say you have a text collections of literature or history, or even let's say social media content. So the next part you identify the text. Next part you have to make sure whether it's copyrighted or non-copyrighted. For example, copyrighted mostly our English literature works because ours is relatively very new field compared to Western English literature. Our English literature is something kind of new, so it's mostly copyrighted. So, which means, let's say even I actually bought 47 novels. I did research on it and I published the result. But I should make sure I should not release all the text online because they are copyrighted. So we have to make sure whatever the text we are going to study, whether they are copyrighted, non-copyrighted. If they are copyrighted, whether we have to get the permission or like whether it says non-commercial purpose. So we have to make sure of that. So mostly text, the out of copyright text mostly available online. For example, Internet Archive, Project Gutenberg for Western context, and HathiTrust Library. And for example, social media web pages and all, you can scrap, which means scrap means you can, collect the text by using some few steps in a beautiful soup kind of algorithm. Okay, let's say now we have text. We also confirmed it's a copyright, non-copyrighted. Also, we found that where we can exactly find the text. So the next part, quality. We have to check the quality of the text, whether machine can read. So let's try to unpack this. What is machine readable? Let's say I have a textbook. Let's say Midnight Children in my hand. It's a physical material. So I'm scanning it by using my simple printer scanner. So it will convert all my text materials into image files. So maybe now these days we have certain algorithm to read image files, but not really very efficiently, particularly for Indian context. We don't have much algorithms to read text exactly from the image files. So we have to convert them by using this method called optimal character recognition, which is something can recognize words from the image files, but it will make so many errors for our Indian context. So we have to sit a little bit clean, but I heard recently Google optimal character recognition works much better for single text, but if you want to use for a huge collection of text, we have to pay a lot. But recently I tried for one of my PhD students. She's working in a drama. So couple of drama text we converted into machine readable format by using Google optimal character recognition. It worked far better. And then the next is whether, for example, if you go and check Gutenberg project text, you could see some of the text are already, tagged by using HTML or TA tagging system. So TA is something text encoding initiative, which is markup language. It could be a little more complex if I explain everything here. But it is something like machine easy to understand if it is already tagged. For example, the metadata of the text. Usually in the first page text in the book, we always see author's information, publisher's information, and other publication details. At the end, some other in-text details, which definitely if we blindly use all the data in the text mining, those are also part of our result, right? Which we don't want. So we need to make them machine to understand, okay, hey, look at this. If you see metadata, data information about the authors or publication, please overlook. So for that, we can use markup language, like, head of the data, body of the text, end of the text. So if we have separated by using HTML tags, so the machine will easily understand it. Okay, next. So let's look at little bit data about data. I'm not sure how much already it is covered. I'm going to quickly do what about data is. Okay. So usually in humanities, the objects of our study mostly text, physical text material, images, paintings, maps. But after this digital revolution, everything is now transformed into digital. But all of them are now called as data. It can be like even just single comma can be data, big map can be also data, one text, one just single name of the character also data, one text material also data, right? Because we borrowed these kinds of data, project, lab, collaboration. These are the science concepts usually mostly used in science and engineering field. But recently we borrowed all these concepts. That's because we are also working together. Like digital humanities is mostly about working together because I might not have all the skill sets. So I usually work with, computer science people or other discipline people. So collaboration, lab. Earlier we just sit in the library or somewhere else, but we are now sitting in a particular space, like science people do it. Like they sit together and do some, experiments. So we are also doing experiments. So these concepts are naturally borrowed from science field. If you want to know more about this kind of infrastructure, I would recommend to read Usla Baulika's work. She has done amazing works talking about how these concepts are traveled from science or engineering into humanities and why. What is the necessary to use these kind of borrowed concepts? And she talks about the crisis of humanities. So in order to survive, like it kind of a question, like a survive existential crisis kind of question. So once this kind of, lot of revolutions started happening in the scientific science field and other engineering and computer science field, every other government started questioning the existence of humanities. Then humanities needs to find its own new way of existing in order to survive. So if you are more interested in this kind of debate and, argument, questions about these kind of things, you can definitely read Ursula Baulika's work. And Chris Bergman's also defined a lot of conceptual based digital humanities things that you can definitely find her work also. And Christoph also talks about digital and data. Trevor also talks about data. I'm going to skip this kind. These are the just definitions. I'm going to just skip it. So Johanna Drucker is also one of the famous digital humanities scholars who tried to define data. So because she's not satisfied using the word data that is borrowed from science into humanities, so she wants to define what kind of similar word we can use for our purpose. Because for her, data is something given according to the original meaning from the Latin rule. But in humanities, we just don't take given data. We construct the data, right? We, for example, we try to find something new in our text, which is something not given. We are constructing it, right? So she wants to define that context. So she came up with this new term called capta. But at the end of the day, for me, text is something also as a data because it is countable, it is manipulatable, it is multipliable, right? A very simple definition which I want to put it. Okay, now we looked at the setting up things. And now when we set up corpus, right, what kind of things we have to take care of? So let's say you are dealing with some old materials, old text materials like this one I have given. Now you are trying to convert into machine readable format. What kind of errors that you would encounter? So for example, I have highlighted in red color where you could see that some of the words are broken into two. There are hyphens, right? This is something machine would not understand. Okay, this is just one word, it got broke down. No, it will look at, okay, two words that I want some simple insight. That's how it looks at. So when we convert this text, this image file into text file, machine readable file, so we have to be very careful to check manually or by using some kind of, software to make sure these are the words properly organized. So as I mentioned just sometimes ago, one of my PhD students drama, when we converted into machine readable format, we encountered these kind of issues. Only this is the recent, very much developed now compared to previous versions and all. So this is the only issue we encounter when we converting from the text into machine readable format. Okay, this is optimal character recognition, which I already talked about it. So I'm going to skip this part. Okay, some justifications. Let's say you figured out which text you want to study. whether copyrighted or non-copyrighted, and other things also we confirmed. Now, what kind of justification norms we have to follow when we create our corpus? So this is mainly for literature, but it's for each disciplines or each research questions, the justifications could be something different. It could be varied. But in general, we have to make sure what kind of novels we are including, what kind of novels we are not including, whether we are including for each decade. For example, my research from 1947 to 2017, I wanted to ensure like I'm including text for each decade, right? And also wanted to make sure I'm including text from both canonical and non-canonical, famous and non-famous authors. And then sociological settings. For example, whether I'm including only urban settings novels or rural or semi-urban, I have to make sure whether I'm including all these kinds of settings. And finally, file format. As I explained, image file cannot be used for text mining. So make sure your text or something in the machine readable format such as XML, HTML, just plain text. PDF also works these days, but I would not encourage to use PDF. But for few, like let's say you're working with 1 or 2 text, if you don't have much resource to convert, then you can maybe try with PDF. But I would not encourage it. Okay, now we created a corpus. What is the next step? So the next step is called pre-processing. Before processing, based on our research questions, we have to make sure we are doing some certain standard things before doing the main thing, right? For example, the first step called stop words. So what is stop words? Words that are like keep occurring that might not be relevant to your research. For example, I, and, in, my, like all prepositions, all sorts of, other words that are not making much sense, but but you have to make sure you might need you might not need and. So you can customize your stop words. So there are stop word lists available online. You can download them, and then you can also explore it, download them and apply them. So the algorithm will remove all these unnecessary words, and it will create only love exploring different flavors, textures, meals. Then it will create a cleaned, proper text up here. And I can give one more example from based on my experience. So in my study, I don't want to remove her, him, she, and all, because I am looking at gender perspective. So I created a customized stop words list where I told the algorithm, you should not remove wherever you see gender pronouns. So it varies based on your research question. So the next step, usually people do something like lexicon normalization. So what is lexicon normalization? Let's say you might encounter likes, liked, liking, all these like related words in a text. So you just need just one like, not all the versions of like. So you can use stem. So stem is something, it will remove the few characters at the end. For example, liked, it will remove ed, liking, it will remove ing, right? So it will try to find out the base word. So the other method called lemmatization. So lemmatization, it tries to find the root word. For example, am, is, or if the lemma is be. But mostly it's something very problematic. We have to be very careful when we use this kind of stemming and lemmatization, because the challenges I explained here. For example, word connected and connection. So the stem will be like connect, but connected, the stem of connect for connected is right? It's a correct version. But for connection, it converts again into connect. The meaning would change. Connected is verb and connection is noun. So the meaning would change. So similarly, lemma, for example, women, it converts into the root word of woman. So again, the challenge, the meaning would change. So we have to make sure. Am I like going beyond the time limit?
No, ma'am, you have time.
Okay. So there are milestones set up for text mining. For example, as I explained since from the beginning, like building corpus, like information retrieval, then building corpus, and information extraction, which means extracting the same data, applying one or more than tools, which is mining, and then finally creating visualizations. These are the proper milestone for text mining project. Okay, there are what kind of types available for text mining. So for example, topic modeling, frequent word analysis, cluster analysis, sentiment analysis, keywords in context or concordance, named entity recognition, text classification, word embedding, and many more. But we cannot cover all the model types here. So we are going to look at only topic modeling. So there are tools. For example, for classroom teaching, I would recommend Voyant, something like it's very colorful. It also has all these types of types which I just mentioned now. It's available in Voyant itself. Voyant is widely used for classroom teaching in terms of text mining. And there are recent topic modeling tool. The one is JSLDA in browser topic modeling tool. It is primarily developed only for topic modeling. And ANCOM is very simple tool. It would not even take so much space on your system. It's just you don't need to install it. You just download it and directly open it. That's it. So there are like repositories where you can learn this, what kind of methods, what are the steps, what kind of algorithms. For example, programming historian, it's kind of a journal. It teaches about what kind of methods, what kind of algorithms available, how to use step by step. They're providing tutorial for that. And now these days you can also ask ChatGPT. Let's say like you can ask ChatGPT like how I can apply topic modeling. Give me step-by-step process. So it will provide the code and it will explain to you as well. Okay, now let's look at what is topic modeling. So topic modeling is something like, it's a statistical technique, which means counting words model. It is mainly used to identify the hidden topics or themes within the collection of documents. So there are many topic modeling available. For example, LDA, Mullet, even like for online text or offline text, short text or long text. So there are different algorithms or different types of text in topic modeling. So usually topic modeling looks at our text as a like kind of back of words. Imagine you have a back inside all the words are putting like without any organization. So it will go and look at organized properly as I given in the image. Now we are going to do a quick exercise to understand topic modeling. So I have given this a small paragraph. Now please read and let me know what kind of topics that you could identify from this paragraph and put it in the chat box. And let's take a couple of 3 minutes or something. What is the time now? So 4:11. Let's take 3 minutes, 4:14 or 15. So please write your topics that you could see from the text. Cooking, healthy food, taste. Okay, that's something interesting. Texas in food, flavors of food, flavors. Cooking. Are you going with the terms, just the keywords, or are you looking for the topics? I'm asking about the topics. Food in my life. So you are labeling it food in my life. Nutrition, food preferences. Okay, just 1 more minute. nutrition, healthy, balance. Does man is does man is satisfied with food? I don't know. Healthy food. Taste and health. Okay. Customization of food. Wow. Food textures, flavors. Healthy meal. I think kind of you're all somehow interpreting the text. Okay, so let's look at how algorithm will look at this text. Okay, so absolutely, those are amazing responses. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your effort, and some of the responses I didn't even imagine of that kind of response. Okay, let's see. Okay, now I have like, it's not a fine version of topic modeling. I just want to simplify it because that then you can easily understand. But whatever you point out, it's right, very right. Some of the topics we already point out, it's really good topics. So, but let's look at reality. So algorithm will look for, like, as I mentioned, the topic modeling, identify hidden topics or themes within the collection of documents. All those terms would look like a topic. That's because they are associated with each other. So in this case, fruits, let's look at fruits like mangoes, apples, strawberries, sweetness. I think these all can be grouped together as one topic of fruits, right? Meats, chicken, beef, fish, protein, richness. I think protein richness can be part of anything else, but here it will associate with the meats. So the second topic is meats. Vegetables, such as spinach, broccoli, carrots. It can be also formed as a another topic. But topic modeling can even go for, like, other topics, but I just wanted to stop here just for an example. So let's say I asked topic modeling to extract a few topics from here, 3 topics. So it extracted fruit topic, meats topic, vegetables. So usually topic modeling would not give the label, the name to the topics. It's our responsible to give certain label or name to the topic terms. So here fruits, mangoes, strawberries, I can give it a topic label as a fruits. The second one, I can label it as a meat, third one, vegetables. But let's look at exactly how it does work. Okay, so topic modeling, it would not decide anything on its own. So it will ask us to figure out how many topics we have to extract. Let's say if I asked more than 3 topics, it might have looked for some of the topics you suggested, maybe nutrition, cooking styles. What else you suggested? I think some of them are very suitable. Flavors, right? It might even, like, if I asked to extract 5 topics, maybe fourth one will look for, like, protein or flavor, taste, food, cooking, this kind of, other topics. So, but I stopped only within 3 topics. So, which is why it looked for only the main 3 topics within the text. So, then first parameter is nothing that like, it's a rules. Like, we have certain different terms when we want work in Python. So rules called as parameters. That's it. It's very simple. So someone from humanities needs to teach us, like, how humanities people can understand programming language. So that's why parameter, when we computer science people say parameter, we will get confused because our association with parameter is something different. So parameter is nothing but it's just rules. So we can decide the rules for our topic modeling. So we can decide a topic modeling. I need 4 topics. I need 5 topics. I need 6 topics. And then each topic, here I stopped with how many terms? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4, 5. I have only 5 terms. So I can have more terms. Like let's say I'll ask topic modeling to extract 6 terms per topic or 7 terms, 10 terms. And then the last parameter is iterations. Like again, this is the programming language term, which means refine it. So topic modeling usually it's a probability model. So every time you run, it will think, okay, this time this can be grouped together. Okay, for example, if I run second time or third time, 10th time, it might find another topics. It might put like, protein, richness, flavor, nutrition together as one topic and remove them from the topic of fruits. It can remove, for example, protein from the topic number 1. It might create a new topic. So it's a probability model. What is probability? It can be, or like, maybe kind of probability. So every time you run, you will get a new topics. Doesn't mean that it will always produce new topics, because whatever with inside the text, it will create topics. Maybe you have to run it for, like there are certain parameters within the topic modeling itself. You don't to run every time, like you don't to click enter button for 100 times. So there is a rule. Okay, run for 100 times, run for 200 times, run for 50 times. So it will run automatically. It will produce very refined topics. Then you can stop at some point. Okay, I like this topic. It's suitable for my research. I can go for interpretation. So you can control everything basically in topic modeling. But at the same time, you have to keep in mind it's mostly kind of abstract. You are interpreting how you could see the topic terms. That could be something, even qualitative study, you read a literature, let's say you read a novel, but you associate with some other social elements, or you take a metaphor, you associate with some other, social event or incident, some tragedy, right? Similarly, it's kind of, you associate how you want to interpret. Okay, so here you might have this question, or your students come up with this question. Let's say, let's do frequent word analysis, right? You might know frequent, even the label itself, you can understand the meaning, I guess, because frequent is something like frequently appear, right? So I'm extracting frequently appeared word list, which also I can use to predict the theme of the text. Then what is the difference between topic modeling and frequent word analysis? For frequent words, maybe I can predict one theme, but by using topic modeling, I can predict even the hidden themes that might not be visible by using the frequent word analysis. So here I have highlighted some of the colors. For example, blue color topic, and then green color, orange, red. So maybe they might not be really contribute to the main theme, but they can be stand out as a separate topic. So for example, in my research, radio, television, computer, they might not have a primary roles. They are not the themes, the themes of the novels. They might appear here and there, like in the first page or last page, middle of the page, but they can also one of the contributors, right? So then I need to find out the themes of particular radio or television or computer, not the themes of the characters, right? Those are the main part of the novels. So this way, topic modeling would help us to find out the hidden topics. Okay, what kind of questions I can ask by using this method? So what topics would emerge across a time period? What is the relationship between topics? Which topic contributed the most to the overall themes? What topics changed over the period? So if you are working in such a huge period, let's say from 19th century to 20th century, or like let's say 50 years, 70 years. So each decade, what kind of changes? You can, the changes over the period. You can also do that by using topic modeling. You can ask many more questions. Okay, disadvantages I have given at the end, but it's better to discuss that in the beginning. Then let's look at some case studies. So advantages, of course, we can uncover a lot of hidden themes and topics. It's automated analysis. It might need humans intervention, humans input, but it can work on its own. And we can explore a huge data set, and it's flexible. You can decide the rules, which is parameter, and it is adaptive. There are many topic modelings. You can, go for one by one and see which one is working for you. So what are the disadvantages? So it is interpretation, because if you don't have any background knowledge, Like you don't know much about the period, you cannot interpret the topic terms. So digital humanities also all about this. It's not replacing our traditional methods. It is enhancing our methods, which doesn't mean that you have the skill set of programming language, doesn't mean that you can work in topic modeling. You should know humanities in the first place, then only you can apply topic modeling. So that is something mandatory. Second, the parameters, which is something we looked at as advantage, at the same time, it is disadvantage as well. It is very sensitivity to the parameters. So it will change every time you change the parameter. And then pre-processing. For example, if I by mistake removed all the pronouns of gender, then I might not get the gender outcome. So these are some of the, I would not say disadvantages altogether, but we have to be very careful when we do it. Let's look at one project altogether. Before moving that, I would like to briefly explain. I think my project I explained extensively throughout the talk, so I'm going to skip that. I will go for one more project in which I was also part of it. This is my friend and colleague, Vajitullah Lamkumar. We worked on this project during our tenure at IT Indore. So this is mainly for her dissertation work. So her research looks at oral aesthetics, oral elements of Northeast Indian literature. Her argument is about like mostly the scholarly art publications, the scholarly community overlook this kind of, oral aesthetics during the interpretation. They always look for the political violence, other things going in the Northeast, and they looked at, they overlooked mostly these kind of indigenous aesthetics, cultural elements, other important cultural topics, which are also part of the narrative of Northeast India literature. So she wanted to prove it. So what we did, we collected text written by Northeast Indian women writers. Then we used topic modeling. So we found out topics related to indigenous aesthetics, contemporary social life. There are many topics apart from political and violence. At the same time, we also got some of the topics related to political and violence. So we agree that literature, they talk about political and violence. Women writers definitely mention the narrative of political and violence, but doesn't mean that they mention only about political and violence. So look at the visualization, figure 6. So 79% of the narrative talks about indigenous related elements. Only 14% is about political and violence. But scholarly community mostly look for this 14%, and then overlook this 79%, including gender related, that is actually stands for, I think, 2%, right? We actually looked at only a few novels, but it could be extended for a huge collection of novels. Okay, I will quickly put this link in the chat box so we can look together. Okay. So when you click the link, it will take you to the website called 40 Science. So Science is a journal which publishes about gender-related themes. So they have been publishing from 1975 to 2014. So they wanted to look at what kind of topics they have been publishing from 1975 to 2014. They collected all the publications on articles. I'm sorry. I quickly. So they collected all the articles, then applied topic modeling, and then they created different visualizations to understand what kind of topics emerged over the periods and what kind of the most topics they have published in their journal. So let's look at one by one. So the first one is called topic grid. So here you could see bubbles. Many bubbles are organized properly. So for the first one is Africa. So when I move my cursor towards this bubble, it shows Africa. So as I mentioned, topic modeling would not label anything. So it's our duty. We have to go through the terms and label it. So that's how these researchers also did. So they looked at words appeared for this topic. Mostly it's African is the highest term appeared in the topic. So they decided it is about Africa and other terms also relevant to it. So that's why this is Africa related terms. So you could see what kind of terms appeared for Africa. Colonial, wise, economic, and countries like Nigeria, urban, right? So you could also see all those articles. The terms appeared in the articles exactly where it exactly appeared. And the percentage wise also they listed out here. So let's look for India. I think it should be here. Where is India? Anyone found India? Okay, it's here. Okay. So what kind of topics they published for Indian context? Class, which is the highest percentage, state, Hindu, caste, middle, colonial, spivak, sorry. Yeah. So there are many topics, mostly about Indian context. So this topic grid would give you the idea of kind of, topics they have published. And doesn't mean that only country-wise, because the terms appeared mostly about the country-wise. That's why they named it as a country name, Africa. And but look at this French feminism, which means that topics are mostly about French feminism related. Memory and drama, motherhood, performance. Okay, now let's go back to other visualization. Let's see. This is like the interconnection between them. The one I wanted to show you is this one. This is pretty interesting. So what kind of topics published the most over the periods? What got disappeared in between? What emerged out as a new topic in between? So let's look at. You can also, if you find out any interesting topic, please put it in the chat. So the first one, social, it started, I think the period from 1975 to 2010, 40. So in 1975, it started well, it's growing. So let's look at the first one, prison. They didn't publish much about prison, but I think towards the year for 2014 or maybe from 13, after 12, they started publishing more about prison related topics. Just please go through and let me know if you find any interesting topic that you find, maybe for your research area or something you're interested. Let's look at these historical terms. They published so many articles related to historical terms, but after 2000, it started falling. Let's look at something interesting. Gender theory. See, look at gender theory. In 1975, not really an article, maybe one or two after 1975. And then it got increased only after 1990. So if you're a gender-related scholar, definitely you can understand this in detail and very much. Maybe gender theory or much because of the feminism-related theories and much started maybe after 1995. So you could see that the development, but it's not really that developed compared to other topics like globalization. See you can compare the topics. For example, globalization and gender theory. Globalization got widely received the attention compared to gender theory in the gender related now, right? That is something pretty interesting. Bodies, bodies. Look at the bodies. I think it pretty much started in there is bodies. It's ups and down, mostly bodies, but it's looked well in 2005, but it's again going down. Historical terms, maybe they often published about historical terms, but it got reduced. Women's role, look at women's roles. So they published a lot about women's roles in the beginning, and towards after 2000, it got reduced. Now you can compare women's roles and gender theory and globalization. So you can do a lot of study even within just this one visualization. So these are the visualization created by using topic model. So I'm going to look at the chat like anyone. Okay. Some topic which is not, if it is not here, that you cannot search, but if you want to confirm whether it is here or not, that you can find out. I think you go to topic list, there you can find out all sorts of topics. So there you figure out whether the topic you want to study, whether it's published here, I mean in the published in the all these years or not, that you can check by clicking topic list. Psychology and women, right? Ethics, film. Okay, I missed out film and ethics. Films and ethics. Psychology of women, yes. It got published more in number in the beginning, but it's again fall down. And then what is the other one? Ethics. Labor, look at labor. That is also pretty interesting. Oh, film here. Yes. Great. Oh, yes, got it. Jaysri, thank you. Okay, so please explore this. I have given the link, and you can also use this one of the projects that to discuss in the classroom. So please feel free to let me know your questions, comments, anything else. I'm happy to answer whatever I know.
Participants, you can post your questions in the chat box. They are giving feedback to you. Very interesting session, and definitely it is. There was a question in the beginning, ma'am.
Oh, okay. The beginning?
Yeah, one second.
Okay, is this one?
Okay, so there was a question that as per the understanding so far, we are exploring an AI tool. So they were asking about, are these all tools only, or
which one
anything
exactly?
else, ma'am? There was one question. The question was posted around 3:15 p.m.
I don't know what I was covering at 3:15. Sorry, I missed out exactly. Could you please explain? Others, maybe could you please write it in detail where we exactly looking at?
Question was from Adarsh name. If you are there, you can post your question again.
So maybe till that I can go to the next question, right?
Yeah. There is a question from Mithun K. Can I bring SDG in digital humanities? If so, how can I apply, ma'am?
Where it is?
Mithun K, ma'am. Can I read the question for you?
Yeah, I didn't get SDG. What is that?
Mithun sir, can you write the full form of the same? Sustainability Development Goals.
Oh, yeah, of course, definitely you can bring it, because I'm now currently working in environmental history. That's something. If I'm using text mining and all. So if I'm going to extract water related, information, then I can connect to the contemporary situations. So comparing like what was earlier and what kind of situation now. It is part of sustainable goals, right? And gender related, you can bring. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
And there is another question. I think Monica ma'am only posted previously. The question was how artificial intelligence exploits human vulnerability. Can you suggest me how can I start?
It's exploiting in every other way. Even the right now Zoom they are collecting data about us, like by using some AI to monitoring us, what we are talking, like what are the struggles we are facing in Zoom, or Zoom is helping us or not. Like they try to find indirectly, not explicitly. So yeah, you can, but you have to figure out the context first, like whether it is, let's say you want to study about ChatGPT related kind of generative AI related exploitation, or let's say Google, sorry, conversation assistant, let's say Amazon or Google Assistant. So you want to talk about them in a like how they, the biases in them, gender related biases, culture related biases, language related biases. There is a lot more done for the Indian context. Please go ahead and do it. Like we have to start doing like no for our Indian context, because we don't have much research in this area actually.
There is another question from Maithili ma'am. Ma'am is
Okay.
asking, what was the training needed by you to equip you with the necessary skills for this kind of research? Actually, this is the question from my side also. What kind of training did you incorporate before doing this kind of research?
You want for like you're asking for ourselves as a faculty or for students?
Yeah, for faculty and particularly for this kind of research, what kind of training is required?
Training required in the sense like definitely besides the theoretical, that's something you can read. Lot of books are available about text mining areas. The one I said, the dangers of text mining. Okay, sorry, I will find out the text name. I will put it in the chat just in a minute, within a few minutes. But practical something, definitely you have to learn it. So you can start with Voyant. That is very pretty simple tool. It's colorful. The visualizations are like bubbles, links are like colorful visualizations. So it's kind of, attractive. So you can start learning Voyant, and then and Con, that is also, I can provide all the links to these tools. Okay, I'll talk about, then I'll give the links.
Okay.
The Ankang is not so colorful visualization, but it's very simple software. One can like, if you know how to use laptop, how to use mobile phone, definitely you can use Voyant and Ankang. And then topic modeling, now these days, earlier there was no software available for topic modeling. So you have to learn Python or programming language to do topic modeling. But recently, there are so many softwares are available, started coming out for topic modeling. So there are a few, I will also send the link to that. It is also pretty easy, and they have given instructions. So whatever the tools you want to learn, everyone has their documentation, instructions, how to use the tool within the tool itself. Help button, you could see help button, or like even on their website, you could see documentation, instructions. So read every documentation, instructions step by step, and then start exploring. And I'm sure you will fail in the beginning, but failure is the something like I always wanted to quote failure on my top of my biggest syllabus in the first as a kind of home kind of top, or that what failure is default of digital humanities. So don't afraid to be to fail. So I would recommend, if you fail, don't worry, keep learning. Maybe within a month or within couple of months, you will definitely learn Python, sorry, Voyant, Ankong. There are many other small online applications about text mining tools. It will might take based on how much you can invest time. I know you are teaching at the same, doing other thousands of works one side. If you find sometimes, let's say 30 minutes or couple of hours in a week, within a month or couple of months, you can definitely master of couple of tools at least. Then start exploring by asking research questions. Otherwise, just learning the tool, it would not help us. So you have to find out the context. You can, like, let's say, if I'm gender-related researcher, so how I can use in my area. So ask research question that can be answered only by using these kind of tools. Then you will slowly, find a way to do it. I
There is
hope I
a
answered.
question
Yeah.
from Annie Safi. The question is, I want to have some skills of digital humanities. From where should I start? Will you suggest some short-term courses or online courses for the same?
There are online courses, even edX, they provide the basic course about digital humanities. You can learn it. And there is one in Open University in the UK. You can also, it is also open access. You can learn the basic concepts and tools names. You can find it over there. And most of the Western countries, their digital humanities centers websites or lab websites, they always list out all the resources needed for digital humanities. So, like for example, not AL University, just type digital humanities centers in the Google, you will find out lot of websites opening, and then go through their, go through the website. You can find list of books that you have to study, list of tools you have to practice, besides the basic course from edX and Open University. So you can find out other information. And I'm also going to release soon, as part of my website, I'm going to list out all the tools for each category. Let's say what kind of tools needed for digital archive, what kind of tools needed for this thing, text mining, mapping. So I'm going to release it soon as well. And Dr. Arjun goes from IT Delhi. If you go to his website, you can find out he already created a kind of board where you could see what kind of tools you have to learn for what kind of areas. So you can, just as it's a self-learning, self-search, and then definitely within few months you can learn something. The basic skill sets for digital humanities for sure.
Amrita Shenoy ma'am is asking, do we need to be equipped with programming skills or coding to understand text mining better?
If you have time, it is worth to explore. But let's say you don't have much time to learn Python, or you are not comfortable in learning programming language, doesn't necessary. Like it doesn't mean that if you have to know Python, then only you can do text mining. It's not like that. Go look at Ankong. I can also quickly share and show Ankong. It's very pretty simple software. It's also text mining software, corpus linguistics software. You can upload the text, you can look for keywords, context. Let's say you want to look at woman or women, what kind of the keywords appearing for women and women. In so, like sort of like, you can find out, and then you can find out, like you can also do advanced text mining in Ankong itself. Like there is another box. Very simple. When you look at the first interface, it's very simple, but there is one button, advanced search. There you could add, for example, if you see women, you can also, if you see women in particular context, and if you also see man somewhere nearby the context, please extract. You can give such kind of query, it will extract. So it does, like, it's not like you have to learn Python, then only you can do text mining. So it's not at all.
Okay. Ma'am, Mithun sir is asking, are you from humanities background or engineering background?
Certainly humanities background.
Because you're so like very good in explaining all technical things, that is why maybe the question. Okay, participants, any other question from your side? Kindly post to the chat box if you have any.
There is one, does it follow formalistic approach where focusing only text, not context? So I didn't get the question. Could you please, Ravidi, explain it a bit more? Okay.
Ma'am, there is a question from Revati, ma'am. She's asking,
Okay.
does it follow formalistic approach where focusing only text or context?
That's why I didn't get the question. I asked her to
Yeah,
explain
ma'am,
it a
can you
bit
please
more.
rewrite your question, Revati, ma'am?
It depends. Like if you're looking for context of particular key text, particular words are not text, particular word, then context matters, right? So that's why I didn't understand your question. Context definitely matters in any case.
Meanwhile, we can take this question from Meera Kumar, ma'am. She's
Okay.
asking, does one have to be cautious about plagiarism related to problems while doing text mining through external softwares?
Plagiarism, you mean they copy your text?
Yeah, related to problems while doing text mining through
No,
external
don't.
software.
Yeah. They don't store. Like, yeah, I understand your question now. So usually, yeah, that's usually in the corporate websites, they store whatever you are searching. So you might, I know like why this question is coming. Like the humanities scholars always conscious about let's others, like let's not others copy our research, right? Like we have to make sure of that ethics also. So these are the tools which I mentioned, like Ankong, Voyant, are created mainly for digital humanities. So people from humanities, are part of this, these developing these tools, they're aware of this kind of issue. They declared in the copyright platform, you go and see copyrights of all the tools. They declared we don't store your data. We don't store anything what you are doing in our database. So absolutely you can, do it. You can be comfortable with these tools.
There is a question from Ankita, ma'am. She's asking, ma'am, how can we link digital humanities with literary books in research?
Didn't get the question because my research also literature, so I used digital humanities methods. As I explained in my talk, I used text mining, topic modeling, to understand the impact of technology in the narrative. So you mean that kind of research or literary books related research? So what do you mean by literary books here? Could you please explain it a bit more?
Ankita, ma'am, can you briefly explain more about your question?
In the meantime, I will find the links of the tools.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, there is one participant, Annie Safi. She's asking, can we connect with you on LinkedIn or something? Can you please share your ID?
Yeah, I'm not from engineering, so I don't use LinkedIn and all. I have shared my email ID. Please get in touch with me. Also, yeah, I'm not so much on social media, but you can find me on Facebook. Little more active on Facebook. Not so much, but yeah, I might not see the messages in Facebook, but maybe email is the best way to connect with me.
Okay, ma'am. Any other question from the participant side? You may post in the chat box. Okay.
And from? Oh, yes, yes. Sorry, Anupama. I will do it in a moment. Oh, I got it.
Ma'am, Ankita ma'am has modified the question. She's asking, as a research topic, how can we link books and digital technology?
Sorry, that is the question. Sorry, come again or read it again. Sorry.
The question is, as a research topic, how can we link books and digital technology?
You are talking about electronic books, something kind of like here books. That's the word I'm confused. What do you mean by books? You want to study text or by using digital humanities methods, or you want to study analog, how the transformation of analog of that?
Its impact on literature and society. That's what Ankita ma'am is saying.
Okay, yeah, my doctoral research also is about the impact of technology in the narrative of literature, at the same time the practice of literature. So now you might know electronic literature. I am also part of one of the board directors of electronic literature organization, and here in India we are also going to build electronic literature in India, Indian electronic literature organizations soon. I'm not sure you're talking about that kind of impact. For example, now literature is also transformed into digital space, like multimodal. So you can add hyperlinks, videos, images in the poetry or in the novel, or it can be a new all genre altogether because of these technologies influence, interactive. So my work also in one of the digital poetry I created involves like 3D elements, poetry, prose, videos, images, sounds. So you mean that kind of impact? Yeah, I will share the link. I will also share the links to some of the electronic literature works. So in this organization, you could find they published 4 volumes so far. In the fourth volume, you could find some Indian works, but other three volumes, there is no South Asian participation. And we also published Indian Electronic Literature Anthology at IT Indo. I will also share that link. I forgot to share this link already. So the book name called The Dangers of Art of Text Mining, a Methodology for Digital History by Joe Gilby.
Ma'am, Revati ma'am has modified the question. She's asking, does the mining tool analyze only the text or the mood and tone of the situation or the writer as well?
Give me a minute to think about your question. You can study mood and tone of the situation, but it all words only, right? So you have to find out the right algorithm to study mood and tone. So it's all about studying words. It can be anything, mood or tone or settings, play or objects. It can be anything, but you have to figure out what kind of research question that requires what kind of algorithm. There, see, algorithm will provide answer to your question. It won't decide that. You have to decide the writer, mood, tone, it all. You just ask it to extract the words that you are thinking of it. So it will extract the words. Then you have to bring your humanities knowledge to interpret, okay, this writer wrote enough words, which means this is the meaning, this is the outcome, this is the interpretation. That you have to perform. So we cannot rely on the tools to do like for us. I hope I answered the question. Please ask more question if it is not so convincing you.
Revati ma'am is saying it's fine. Ma'am, there is a question from Vasav Mithun.
Okay.
The question is, how can text mining be helpful in studying oral literature?
If you convert oral literature into text format, then you can definitely use text mining. So for my colleague, as I said, Dr. Vatitula Longkumar at IIT RAM at Ahmedabad, her research area is something oral aesthetics, oral literature. So we are planning to collect for one of our projects oral folk songs, like folk songs orally, sung in the region. So we collected oral songs, we transcribe them and into text English, and we are going to look at the semantic of those texts by using text mining method. So you can definitely do text mining of oral literature.
Any other questions, participants?
I could see one question about how can I bring social media conversation in a novel under digital method.
Digital method.
But it's a very general question. It's based on your research question. Let's say I want to study the comment section. Let's imagine travelogue posts. So you want to study the comment section. Let's say, okay, transgender related post. So how people are reacting to the transgender post in India. Then you can study the conversation by using method like sentiment analysis you can apply, or topic modeling, what kind of topics that emerging out from the comment section about the particular post. So yeah, you can apply varieties of digital method based on your research question to study social media conversation. Yes, you can study internet memes if they are text, if you are in the text format. So, but memes also can be in the image format, right? So now image mining also there. So you can use image mining tools to study memes. I am dealing with only text mining, so image mining also there. But if the memes are in the text format, you can definitely study.
Students, if you have more questions, you can email to us also. We will forward the same to the expert. Okay. As we conclude day 3 of our FDP, on behalf of the organizing committee and participants, I would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to Dr. Shanmugapriya ma'am for delivering such an engaging and thought-provoking session. Your valuable insights have greatly enhanced our understanding and will benefit us in our future endeavors. Requesting all the participants to switch on their video for a group photo, please. Tech team, please let me know once it is done. Tech team, please enable the video. Participants, please note that the feedback link has been posted in the chat box. Kindly fill out the form before logging out. We look forward to welcoming you again tomorrow for another enriching session with Dr. Nirmala Menon, Professor, HSS School, IIT Indore, on the topic, what is digital humanities and what are the challenges in India? From 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Please note the timing. It's 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Until then, take care and have a great evening ahead. Thank you.